Did you know that ticket prices can actually go down right before the game? That's where Game Time comes in. Game Time tracks ticket prices in real time from thousands of trusted sellers, then shows you all the best deals. So we can get tickets at the last minute for up to 60% off. Download Game Time now.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the Cam Rogers Show on this Friday, February 2nd, 2018. It is Super Bowl Sunday, just 2 days away. The Patriots and the Eagles are going to do battle in Minneapolis, and I've got the complete preview for all you folks out there. Ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for tuning in to this live program. Throw in your comments, your reactions, and your thoughts about this big-time matchup. Nick Foles, Tom Brady, that great defensive front for the Eagles, that high-octane offense for New England. It's going to be a fun one at that. I got all the angles covered for you, some key matchups, key comparisons, and of course, I'm opening up my crystal ball, and I will tell you who will win Super Bowl 52. I am essentially giving you the answer key to the SAT. I am predicting what will happen. You don't even have to tune in on Sunday evening, because I'm telling you what's going down. By the way, get the Cam Rogers Show wherever you go. Go on to chatsports.com/camshow. That's how you can download the podcast version on iTunes, and if you got to step out this Friday morning, no problem. Be sure to subscribe, download, leave a review too if you're feeling generous, and we certainly appreciate the support. Also love all the YouTube watchers out there. We thank you for tuning into the episodes as well, and can you believe it? 60 episodes through. So a lot to get to here on the program. Previewing the Super Bowl, of course. I will go through some keynotes and stats and matchups and all that good stuff. Then later in the show, I got my top 10 free agent quarterbacks. So I'll count you down from 10 all the way down to number 1. Then I'm power ranking the head coaching hires, so 7 head coaching hires across the NFL. Spent some time on that. Not too much time, though. As you see at the 45-minute mark, I got the latest NFL rumors that are a-swirling this morning. And then a final word, yes, I'll be picking the Super Bowl, and I'll let you know who hoists the Lombardi Trophy. This is the Cam Rogers Show, presented by the Game Time app. Get up to 60% off all those last-minute sports tickets, concert tickets, and so much more. Chatsports.com/tickets to check them out. Really a fantastic app, so certainly check out that website. All right, let's get into it. Super Bowl 52, Patriots, Eagles. The Patriots are, quote-unquote, at home, but they'll be wearing their away jerseys where they've been much better in Super Bowls. So they're going with the good fortune in that regard. Tom Brady playing in his 8th Super Bowl. The Eagles looking to win their 3rd straight game as an underdog for the first time since my Baltimore Ravens did it back in 2012 with Joe Flacco and the magical run that he had. And by the way, this was the largest opening line since Super Bowl 43 between the Steelers and the Cardinals. Now, the line has shrunk to, I believe it's now 4.5 now, in favor, of course, of the New England Patriots. So, a lot of things to kind of parse here. And I want to start things off with Nick Foles' rapid improvement, especially from the pre-Vikings to the Vikings game. So, Nick Foles' passer rating against the blitz pre-Vikings was 87.9. Versus pressure, it was 39.3. So you compare those numbers to the Vikings game versus the blitz, 142.3, versus pressure, 128.3. And on 3rd down, this is where it's really key for me, pre-Vikings, so the games before that Vikings game, 71.3 passer rating on 3rd down. In the NFC Championship, 158.3. And oh, by the way, throwing the ball downfield against that Viking secondary, a 141.4 passer rating. Now, Nick Foles had a fantastic game in that NFC Championship. Absolutely. But there is no evidence in the data that we have of these 51 Super Bowls that indicates a good NFC Championship game will carry over into a good Super Bowl performance. So this momentum concept really isn't a thing. I know we like to talk about it sometimes during games, and perhaps there's some credence to that, but game to game, there really is no momentum, at least for a championship carrying over to a Super Bowl. The same can be said about individual quarterback performances. There are 7 instances since 2001 of a quarterback posting a passer rating better than Foles' 141.4 in a playoff win. All right, the names are Chad Pennington, Ben Roethlisberger, Russell Wilson, and 2 times from Peyton Manning and Kurt Warner, respectively. All of those quarterbacks combined in the Super Bowl had a 3-4 record, or that following week had a 3-4 record, I should say. So, do you trust Nick Foles to win the Super Bowl? Give us a heart for yes, a like for no. I'm sure a lot of Eagles fans out there will be throwing out their hearts. The Patriots fans will probably be throwing out their likes. So let's look at Brady and Foles a little closer here. The difference between the two in terms of yards per attempt rounds out to 2.9, which is the 7th largest gap in the history of the Super Bowl. So you look at past gaps between quarterbacks, big-time gaps in terms of yards per attempt in Super Bowls. Tom Brady and Eli Manning with the biggest. Tom Brady, 9.4 yards per attempt. Eli Manning, 5.5. Did Tom Brady win that Super Bowl? No. 1970, Craig Morton of Dallas, Johnny Unitas of Baltimore. Morton had an 8.7 yards per attempt. Unitas had 5.2. Did Morton win? No, he did not. Then you have Joe Montana, John Elway. That was a sizable gap. Montana actually did win that Super Bowl. How about Cam Newton and Peyton Manning, though? Newton, 8.3. Peyton Manning, 5. And Manning ended up winning that football game. So you see that in 4 of the 5 instances with the largest gaps in terms of yards per attempt, the lesser quarterback, shall we say, ended up winning that Super Bowl. So it's not necessarily about the star quarterback in this football game. So Nick Foles has every real opportunity to hoist the Lombardi Trophy on Sunday evening. It's a really interesting stat here. So I kind of feel like this Eagles team could kind of relish the 2007 Giants role, where they play the underdog and you got the mighty Patriots, and it's, you know, Philadelphia Eagles really relish that underdog role throughout the playoffs and can really carry it into Minneapolis as well. All right, so let's talk about the Patriots defense here. Why are they so good, but, you know, kind of not really? So in terms of points allowed, they are good, but the talent on that side of the ball, perhaps not. Well, I think it's really thanks to their offense. The defense, talent-wise, I think is one of the worst, but the offense keeps it off the field and fresh, and that is the key component there. The average Patriots drive on offense included a league-high 6.2 plays. The New England defense faced just 172 possessions this season. That's the 5th fewest in football, and 12 below the league average. So it's easy to see here how the Patriots defense can look good. They're so fresh, they're barely on the field. The offense and special teams makes it tough on the opposing team. During the Brady-Belichick era, so 2001 to 2017 plus, the average defense has faced just under 368 short fields. Every team besides the Patriots has faced a minimum of 311 possessions beginning on their side of the field. Belichick's defenses have needed to defend only 227 short fields. So Belichick and Brady and that offense have done such a good job at being able to keep their defenses off the field, letting Brady and that offense and that horizontal passing game kind of control things. So the key for New England's defense is the ability to defend the RPOs, right? The run-pass options for the Eagles. That's something that Nick Foles loves to do. He did a great job with it in the NFC Championship game. One way to do it for New England to kind of defend this is a cover 7 and safety bracket type of coverage. I'm telling you, if you blitz Nick Foles, you are going to get burned. So I think the best way for the Patriots to kind of defend Foles in this Philadelphia offense is to sit back and play a little coverage. As you saw that weigh-in for everybody watching the program right now, are you going hashtag fly, Eagles fly, or hashtag not done? Throw in your votes and your thoughts about who will win Super Bowl 52. All right, so another thing I want to kind of harp on here, Gronkowski So he has been cleared to play, which is good news for New England. And the Eagles, they have been fantastic this season on the surface against the pass and the run, respectively. But they do rank 17th against tight ends. And you may recall the Eagles gave up 103 yards and a score to Travis Kelce earlier this year. And we know Kelce is no Gronkowski. Nobody is Rob Gronkowski. So, believe it or not, Jim Schwartz is not a big blitzer. In 10 years as a defensive coordinator or head coach from 2006 to 2016, Schwartz ranked in the bottom 5 of the league in blitz percentage 9 times. In the 7 meaningful games between Schwartz and Brady/Belichick, Schwartz is only 1-6. So he doesn't sport the greatest record out there against Brady, and he's going to have to look to buck that trend, Jim Schwartz will. That one win, by the way, was way back in 2002. So that Eagles front four is legit. Can talk about that all day and night. Timmy Jernigan and Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham and Vinnie Curry and Chris Long could go down the line. And I mentioned comparisons to the 2007 Giants with Osi Umenyiora and Michael Strahan and Justin Tuck. The Giants didn't have to blitz in that Super Bowl. The Philadelphia Eagles may not have to either. In fact, I think they would be crazy if they were to blitz Tom Brady, because Brady usually picks you apart if you blitz him. So the Patriots are best suited to do lots of no huddles and sugar huddles to kind of slow this Philadelphia pass rush down. One team that actually did a good job of that against the Eagles this year were the Giants back in Week 3 when they put up 29 points in that game. Eli Manning went to the line with 2 plays in mind and often, did the kill, and would go to that second play. And that's how you neutralize a pass rush, or at least that's one way to do it. Go with the no-huddle, up-tempo type of deal. So when teams took under 30 seconds to initiate a play, we're talking about opposing teams here, the Eagles ranked 29th in win probability. So if you speed things up and if you do the sugar huddles and the no huddles against this Philadelphia defense, Tom Brady can have his fair share of success in this football game. It's safe to say the Patriots will have to go up-tempo, ladies and gentlemen. So quickly, a note on special teams. The Patriots hold the advantage pretty much in every facet of special teams. Their punt and kick returns for the Eagles have been worth a combined negative 1.9 points of field position. So not the greatest stat there. Kenyon Barner's the headliner returner there in the punt and return game. And the Patriots, in terms of pass rushing ability, Trey Flowers has been a monster this postseason, and I think Matt Patricia will likely have to move him around the Eagles' offensive line, probably put him at left tackle sometimes. I could see a matchup with left tackle Vaitai there, who is the backup to Jason Peters, of course. And Vaitai actually wasn't all that bad against Everson Griffin in the NFC Championship game. But in obvious passing situations, watch out for Flowers, James Harrison, and the rest of that New England core there that could perhaps get some success. So I have some keys to success here for the Patriots and the Eagles, respectively. And I'm going to go through them and kind of let you know what these teams need to do here. So for the Patriots, it's a few things. The Patriots, number one, have to figure out the screen game. Screen game, screen game, screen game. That is one way the Patriots can kind of slow down that vaunted pass rush that the Philadelphia Eagles have. And so, quick screens to James White and Dion Lewis, I think, will really put New England in a good spot. As you see there, screen game will be New England's friend. Tom Brady has to plant his foot and throw quickly. I talked about how important it is to do the no huddles and the sugar huddles and all that. Tom Brady can't do any deep drops, 7-step drops, and long play action plays that take a lot of time to develop down the field. That's not how the Patriots are going to win this football game if they were to. It's going to have to be by the quick decision-making, and Tom Brady's going to have to go to the line of scrimmage with 2 plays in mind and decide which one is the best for his team in that particular situation. And then finally, I think the Patriots are better off not blitzing Nick Foles. I really believe that. The Eagles have one of the better offensive lines in the NFL, and especially on that right side. You got Jason Kelce there at center, you got Brandon Brooks at right guard, and you have Lane Johnson at right tackle. I think they could stonewall New England's pass rush. So you're blitzing Nick Foles, but you're not getting to him, and you're just leaving more holes in the secondary. So it doesn't really make much sense. So I think New England would be smart, and Matt Patricia is a smart guy, so I think they will do this. Drop players into coverage and, play a bend but don't break kind of mentality. That's what the Patriots like to do, and I think they will do it in this football game. So those are the keys to success for the Patriots. Meanwhile, for the Philadelphia Eagles, what do they have to do? So I am watching Fletcher Cox against guard Shaq Mason. If Fletcher Cox can win inside and really attack the interior of that Patriots offensive line, that's where I see the Super Bowl being won. Talking about for the Philadelphia Eagles. Because if you move Tom Brady, make him uncomfortable, we saw it a few years ago in the AFC Championship game with the Denver Broncos, right? We've seen it twice with the New York Giants in Super Bowls of old. The Philadelphia Eagles have to use that blueprint. And so it's going to be on Fletcher Cox to be a disruptor on the inside. Because Tom Brady, he can step up in the pocket. He's got good pocket awareness. He could see Brandon Graham coming around on the edge, and he can move up. It's got to come from the inside. That's the key here for Philadelphia. All right, Nick Foles and play action must be on point. I firmly believe Nick Foles is a premier ad-libber. He likes to have the options during the play. He likes the run-pass options. He likes the play action with a couple of routes down the field, gets those linebackers to suck up, and he gets the one-on-one coverage down the field to Alshon Jeffrey and Torrey Smith, etc. So Nick Foles in play action must be 100%, as they say. And by the way, the play action will be non-existent if Jay Ajayi and LeGarrette Blount don't run the football effectively. Finally, this might be the biggest matchup outside of Fletcher Cox and Shaq Mason. Patrick Robinson on Danny Amendola. Danny Amendola has been fantastic in the playoffs. They call him Danny Playoff and all that good stuff. But Patrick Robinson probably is the best slot corner in the NFL. I see a very real scenario here where Schwartz says, all right, Patrick, we're locking you in on Amendola in the slot, and we're not giving you any help. Obviously not, because he is the 4th-ranked corner, according to Pro Football Focus. A real improvement for Robinson compared to the 2016 campaign. So Robinson probably will shut down Danny Amendola. It's going to come down to Gronkowski, Dion Lewis to make some plays, perhaps Hogan on the outside, and Brandon Cooks as well going deep. But this is not going to be a Danny Amendola football game, folks. For all you Patriots fans out there, Patrick Robinson will shut him down. Now, those are the keys for the Philadelphia Eagles. I have said multiple times here on the Cam Rogers Show, and by the way, follow me on Twitter at Mr. Rogers99. We thank you for tuning in to this live program here. I have said many times, actually I spent a rant on it, that players should not guarantee a win in the NFL, particularly if they are playoff games. Jalen Ramsey did it, and it didn't work out well. Le'Veon Bell did it a few games ago, and that didn't work out well. We've got the latest example. These players clearly aren't watching my show. Alshon Jeffrey. So NFL Network talked with Alshon Jeffrey, and Jeffrey essentially said, it's not if he wins the Super Bowl. He wants you to speak it into existence. Quote, when we win this game on Sunday, ain't no telling what we're going to do, but we're probably going to celebrate, have some fun. And NFL Network says, so you're convinced you're winning, Jeffrey? We're bringing that trophy back to Philly, man. Why do we? Oh, my God, this is unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Alshon Jeffrey, what are you doing, my man? You're guaranteeing a Super Bowl. And you know what, Bill Belichick? He just printed out that tweet, and now he's showing all his players in the locker room. Hey, guys, Alshon Jeffrey said this. Crazy. This is the Cam Rogers Show here on Chat Sports Facebook Live. We thank you for tuning into the program. All right, let's get to my pick here. Super Bowl 52. The winner on Sunday evening will be coming up. Later in the program, I'll tell you in the final word. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I like a little drama here on the program. We are sponsored by the Game Time app. Check them out, chatsports.com/tickets. Get up to 60% off all those sports tickets, concert tickets, theater tickets, and so much more. Many thanks to Game Time for sponsoring the show here today. Rolling along here on episode 60, let's get into some free agency talk. So I've got my top 10 free agent quarterbacks for all of you out there. Let's start things off with one Ryan Fitzpatrick, the gunslinger himself, checking in at number 10. Now, he's been vocal about playing again. He likes where he is in Tampa Bay. As you see there, we have teams likely interested in Ryan Fitzpatrick as well. I'll talk about those. 2017, he actually started a few games with Jameis Winston injured due to that AC joint issue. And completion percentage, 58.9, over 1,000 yards passing. But that TD to interception ratio, not all that bad, 7 touchdowns to 3 picks. And I think he is one of the better backups in the NFL. Now, of course, it's all relative to all the backups out there when you're talking about a not-so-great talent pool. So Ryan Fitzpatrick checking in at number 10 in terms of free agent quarterbacks. I could see him remaining in Tampa Bay. I think it would be smart for the Buccaneers to bring him back and be a solid backup to Jameis Winston. Obviously, we have seen that Winston has been under duress in past years with the offensive lines in Tampa Bay that have not been all that great in pass protection. And Winston sure has a scenario where, he could get hurt again in 2018. And you bring in Ryan Fitzpatrick, you should feel somewhat confident that Fitzpatrick can win you a football game. All right, so Ryan Fitzpatrick is a name we are monitoring here in free agency. He checks in at number 10. We've got Green Bay there because Brett Hundley, well, we have seen that he can't win you football games, and the Baltimore Ravens as well because Ryan Mallett is a free agent, and Ryan Mallett is awful, and Ryan Fitzpatrick is better, so the Ravens are actually working out potential backups right now to Joe Flacco, so maybe Ryan Fitzpatrick could be that guy that the Ravens bring in. So Ryan Fitzpatrick at number 10. And by the way, folks, as we go through these rankings, obviously they will get better. We'll get to the Drew Breeses of the world and all that. Let's get to number 9 in free agent quarterback rankings, and it is one Josh McCown checking in at number 9. Now, McCown started 13 games last season for the Jets, completed 67.3% of his passes, just a shade under 3,000 yards passing, 18 touchdowns to just 9 interceptions. Very solid passer rating of 94.5. And McCown, age 39, he's getting there, but he's still playing at a solid level. So obviously not a long-term guy, but a great bridge quarterback for teams out there that perhaps have a young quarterback coming in. Maybe he could go to the Ravens, and the Ravens draft a quarterback too, kind of looking ahead to the post-Joe Flacco era. Or maybe he goes to the Bucs because Tampa Bay, of course, well, they'll be looking for a backup quarterback if they don't bring in Ryan Fitzpatrick. Maybe McCown is that guy. Or he could just stay in New York, and provide some insurance there if, the Jets go out and grab a Baker Mayfield in the draft. McCown could kind of be that mentor for Baker Mayfield. And then the Cardinals too. You'll see the Cardinals on many of these cards here because, well, simply, the Cardinals don't have a quarterback on their roster right now. Carson Palmer retired. Matt Barkley's going to be a free agent, and Drew Stanton will be a free agent as well. So Josh McCown could go to the Big Toaster. Again, no long-term answer. Perhaps the Jets retain him. In fact, I think they might. I don't know how expensive McCown really is going to be, but the Cardinals, by the way, you see on that bullet there at the bottom of your screen, has ties to Mike McCoy of the Cardinals. So Mike McCoy is the offensive coordinator out there. So maybe Josh McCown heads out there and kind of reunites with Mike McCoy. So something to monitor there. So Josh McCown checking in at number 9. Expect him to be on an NFL roster shortly after the new league year begins on March 14th. Let's take a look at number 8 here. Jay Cutler. Gunslinger, $10 million Jay Cutler for the Miami Dolphins in 2017. Teams likely interested, probably the NFL on Fox, to be honest with you folks. Honestly, he's probably headed back to the broadcast booth. Maybe Adam Gase wants to retain Jay Cutler on a kind of smaller deal, definitely not $10 million. But I think Jay Cutler is on his way out. He wanted to give it one more shot with Adam Gase and the reunion and all that. Everybody thought Cutler's numbers would be fantastic and dealt with his fair share of injuries. Matt Moore had to play quarterback a few games. So there you see the numbers, 62 completion percentage, 19 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. It's just classic Jay Cutler stuff. It was a great story. Prying him out of retirement did Adam Gase, and it just didn't work out. So Jay Cutler probably going to head to the broadcast booth, and I do wonder how he will do as an analyst out there for Fox or whatever network he goes to, because he's not Mr. Personality. So it'll be interesting to see how it all works out. Maybe he'll be like a cut and dry kind of guy, one-liners with, not holding back his criticisms for teams, players, etc. Jay Cutler, we got teams interested, NFL on Fox, and the Miami Dolphins. He's at number 8 in my free agency quarterback rankings. Let's get to number 7, A.J. McCarron. So this is a very odd situation. So let me explain A.J. McCarron. We don't know if he is an unrestricted free agent or a restricted free agent. We won't know until later this month. So the NFLPA is making a case that McCarron should be designated as an unrestricted free agent, while the league itself, and really the Bengals, are arguing that he should be a restricted free agent. So McCarron's argument is this. He was healthy enough his rookie season to come off the non-football injury report list during training camp, but the Bengals chose to leave him there. So by leaving McCarron on that list for the length the Bengals did, it prevented him from having a season accrued on his contract. So if McCarron is ruled to be a restricted free agent, the Bengals essentially can place a high tender on him and he would likely stay. Or if someone signs McCarron to an offer sheet, the Bengals would be rewarded with a high draft pick if they didn't match that sheet. So honestly, the Bengals, of course, want McCarron to be a restricted free agent because it's a win-win situation. Either you keep him and he's a quality backup behind Andy Dalton, or you get a high draft pick out of the situation if a team were to place a high offer sheet on A.J. McCarron. So let's say that he becomes an unrestricted free agent. Teams likely interested. The Cleveland Browns, they have the second most cap space according to overthecap.com for the 2018 offseason. So the Browns are potentially an option if they don't go out and pay Kirk Cousins big time. The Cardinals, obviously, because they need a quarterback. And perhaps A.J. McCarron would do nicely out there with Mike McCoy. And the Minnesota Vikings, they are in a tough situation at quarterback because all 3 of their QBs from 2017 will be free agents. Teddy Bridgewater, Sam Bradford, Case Keenum. Maybe A.J. McCarron comes in and competes with Teddy Bridgewater. Who knows? But yeah, very unique situation here with A.J. McCarron, and we'll see what happens. I still think he should get a shot at some point in the NFL as a starter. So he's there at number 7. I mentioned the Vikings. Well, we'll get to the Vikings. In fact, boom, boom, boom. All 3 straight here, 6 through 4. Let's get to number 6 here. Mr. Sam Bradford, where is he headed? Perhaps staying in Minnesota? Maybe Arizona. The Broncos could make a run at him. Perhaps maybe the Jets too. So Bradford, you didn't see much of him in 2017. Shocker, because he got hurt, battled injuries for much of the season, hasn't played in all 16 games since 2012. He was activated during the playoffs, I will say. So it looks like he is 100%. And I really don't expect Sam Bradford to hang around in Minnesota. I think he's going to go test the free agent waters. And I honestly think he'd be a nice fit for Jeremy Bates and the Jets. I think Bates, the offensive coordinator out there, would do well with Sam Bradford, and especially if the Jets can kind of get some more weapons on the offensive side. I think they have the cap space to do it. You have Quincy Enunwa returning from injury in 2018. Robbie Anderson, well, he's got some legal issues to really deal with, but he showed some flashes. Austin Seferian-Jenkins, the Jets have a decision to make with him, but he is a big-time target at the tight end position. So maybe Sam Bradford could fit well in New York. But the problem is Bradford needs a good pass-protecting offensive line. And that's not what the Jets have right now. They're going to have to address that perhaps in free agency or in the draft. But the Buffalo Bills and the Cleveland Browns would beat out the Jets in terms of the pass protection department. So watch out for the Bills and Browns as well. Honestly, this list could be 6 teams long, talking about the teams likely interested. So the Vikings, the Cardinals, the Broncos, the Jets, heck, the Bills, and the Browns. So all those teams could be in the Sam Bradford sweepstakes. And I'm watching the comments flow in here on the Cam Rogers show. Steve chiming in, Bradford just needs to retire. Well, I don't know about that, Steve. Rio chiming in, Jets or Broncos if they don't get Cousins. Yeah, I'm with you there, Rio. I think the Jets could be an interesting fit for Sam Bradford. I was just talking about it. And, you know, the Broncos, well, they're going to be active in free agency looking for a quarterback. John Elway, he'll be out there with a blank check, perhaps, if the Broncos free up some cap space. Thank you for the comment there, Rio. We appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in to the Cam Rogers Show. So there's Sam Bradford there at number 6. Let's summarize 10 through 6 here, folks. Ryan Fitzpatrick, Josh McCown, Jay Cutler, A.J. McCarron, Sam Bradford. Real quick, Fitzpatrick probably will stay in Tampa Bay. Josh McCown, I think, probably will stay in New York. Cutler's going to retire. I could see A.J. McCarron going to Arizona if he becomes an unrestricted free agent. And Sam Bradford could go to either the Jets or the Bills or the Browns. All right, so there's 10 through 6. Let's get into the top 5 here. Teddy Bridgewater, I saw somebody comment about Bridgewater. So here's the deal. The Vikings have to figure out if he is the guy. I've said this many times on my show. Because they put the investment in Bridgewater. They got to figure out if they're going to get the return. And so I think Bridgewater should be the starter for the Vikings in Week 1 of 2018. I think the Vikings are probably going to let Sam Bradford walk. They may franchise tag Case Keenum, which would create a very interesting quarterback competition in OTAs and training camp, respectively. But at the end of the day, look, Teddy Bridgewater took your team, the Vikings, to the playoffs in 2015. And if it weren't for one Blair Walsh, who knows what could have happened in that playoff. So we do have a weigh-in for all you folks watching right now. Who will be the Vikings starting quarterback in Week 1 of 2018? Because it is a weird situation, right? All 3 quarterbacks are free agents. So the Vikings are going to have to make a couple of decisions here. So the numbers in 2015 were pretty solid for Teddy Bridgewater, and I think he will be an even better quarterback in 2018 with the high-level play of Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen and Travis Rudolph. And oh, by the way, they're getting Dalvin Cook back from injury. So Teddy Bridgewater is going to have a plethora of weapons at his disposal in 2018. I really believe he should be the starter in Week 1. And Sam Bradford will probably be a starter for a team not named the Minnesota Vikings in 2018. And Case Keenum could get franchise tag, or he could be a starter elsewhere as well. Maybe he could go to Arizona. I have my fair share of concerns about Case Keenum, which I will talk about right now because we're getting into number 4 here on my list of top 10 free agent quarterbacks. So the deal with Case Keenum, folks, let me know. Are you in the same boat as me? Was Case Keenum just a flash in the pan in 2017? Was he just a one-hit wonder, kind of like B.B. Mack in the early 2000s? Sorry, B.B. Mack, you guys had a great hit. But like the whole Pat Shurmur thing, right? Pat Shurmur moving on to be the head coach of the New York Jets. And now with him gone, maybe there is this kind of dysfunction now with Case Keenum, right? He doesn't have his offensive coordinator with him. And can he replicate those numbers of 2017 again in 2018? That's where I have my concerns here. You see the numbers there. They were fantastic. 67.6 completion percentage, 3,500 yards passing, 22 touchdowns, 7 picks. Almost took his team to the Super Bowl. But at the end of the day, the Vikings probably can't keep all 3 quarterbacks. So it's going to be Keenum or Bradford who walks. Probably even both. I mean, if Case Keenum really wants to test the free agent market, and if he gets word that Teddy Bridgewater is going to be the starter in Week 1, Case Keenum's going to be like, all right, I'm going to go see what I can do out in the open market and see what Denver wants from me and maybe Arizona and the Jets as well, as you see some of those teams that are interested there. And I'm watching some of the comments here. Trent saying Keenum will be the week 1 starter in Minnesota. You got DJ saying Teddy should be, but if not, the Pats should sign him for post-Brady era. That's a very interesting one. And Steve chiming in and Rio chiming in with comments as well. Appreciate it, guys. So Case Keenum. Again, the Viking situation is really odd, and it's really hard to predict. But I'm standing here right now, or at least sitting right here right now, saying that Teddy Bridgewater will be the starter in Week 1, 2018. Sam Bradford will likely move on, and Case Keenum is the one that I can't predict. It's either going to be a franchise tag situation, or perhaps Keenum goes to the Denver Broncos and plays for Bill Musgrave as the offensive coordinator out there. And we'll see if that Bill Musgrave, Case Keenum relationship will be as good as the Pat Shurmur Case Keenum relationship was in 2017. So Keenum is at number 4 in my top 10 free agent quarterbacks. Let's get to number 3 here, ladies and gentlemen. And checking in at number 3 is one Kirk Cousins. So this is fun. Isn't this fun, guys? Kirk Cousins is going to test the open market. This is awesome. And we don't see this much in the NFL, talking about big-time quarterbacks, going out there and seeing what kind of money they can make. All of the money is out there for Kirk Cousins, especially from the Cleveland Browns, because the Cleveland Browns have a lot of money. So Kirk could go in many different directions, and he has been vocal, by the way, of predicating win over money. So he wants to win more than money. Now, perhaps that's just the diplomatic statement that he's making, and maybe deep down he wants to get paid big time, but I sure think he wants to win too, and he wants to get a ring. And so there are a couple of avenues here. Let's just call it for what it is, the Cousins sweepstakes. It is on. So there's the Denver path, right? That is probably the best chance for Kirk Cousins to win a Super Bowl ring. And Von Miller recently was on the Dan Patrick Show, very vocal about saying Kirk Cousins should come to Denver because he would put us over the edge. So clearly not an indictment on Trevor Siemian and Brock Osweiler, So look, Von Miller and the Denver's leadership, more notably, knows that if they bring in Kirk Cousins, Broncos are going to be fantastic, given they address the offensive line, especially on the interior where it has struggled in run blocking and pass protection, respectively. And I think the Denver Broncos will address that in the draft and perhaps go out in free agency as well and see what they can do there. But they have a championship-level defense. Let's not forget that. The offense was so bad last year for the Denver Broncos that the defense was on the field so much they just got gassed and gassed and gassed. All right, so if Kirk Cousins wants to win now, folks, he goes to Denver. If he wants to get paid now, he goes to Cleveland, because the Cleveland Browns, of course, have a lot of money. So you know what the Browns will do? They'll be like this. John Dorsey, the GM, will say, Kirk, you know what? Go ahead. Test your waters. See what the other teams offer you. Come back to me, and I will raise that team $5 million. Because that's how much money the Cleveland Browns have. And if Kirk Cousins wants to play the waiting game and the long-term game with the Browns, because I think they are an up-and-coming team, especially on defense, he should go to Cleveland. If he's okay with being patient and all that, go to the Cleveland Browns. You got a good offensive line there, and Joe Thomas at left tackle, and Treader there at center, and Bitonio as well. These are good players on that front five. And look, I don't know what's going to happen with Isaiah Crowell. He's going to be a free agent, and perhaps the Browns grab a Saquon Barkley at running back. Stay tuned on that one. But if the Browns get Kirk Cousins, they don't need to go Rosen or Darnold #1 overall, right? They can maybe even trade back and get more picks to play with and really set up a good situation for Kirk Cousins. Buffalo Bills, interesting team to watch here as well. I see them in the comments section a lot on my show. It's clear they're moving on from Tyrod Taylor. They have a solid offensive line, actually the #2 ranked offensive line in pass blocking efficiency. Good run game as well. The future of Eric Wood is in doubt. That's my question mark there. The center really had a great year in 2017. But Kirk Cousins has one of the best passer ratings throwing to running backs. And oh, by the way, there is a guy named LaShawn McCoy out there in Orchard Park. Something tells me Kirk Cousins would do pretty well with the Buffalo Bills. So there's Kirk at number 3, folks. It is going to be really fun to watch where he goes and all the rumors that keep swirling about Cousins testing the free agent water. So keep it right here on the Cam Rogers Show. I'll keep you updated throughout the offseason. All right, so there's Kirk at 3. We're getting into the these guys are not going anywhere category. Drew Brees. All right, so fun nugget here. He's got the same agent as, ready for it, Alex Smith, which means Drew Brees is going to get $71 million guaranteed, right? Well, probably not. All right, so here's the deal. The Saints probably would prefer a 1-year deal with Drew Brees, 39 years old, and they don't want to do anything long-term in case his quarterback play goes on a downward spiral. Totally understand that. But I think Drew Brees wants to play ball with this. Like, I don't think he feels the same way here, and you could see some tension, some rumblings, some friction between Drew Brees and his agent and the New Orleans Saints leadership because of that. Because of their, mentalities that Drew Brees wants security and the Saints kind of want 1-year deals here. So they already have a dead money hit of $18 million scheduled for whenever Brees' contract expires. So they're hoping Brees' play really doesn't rapidly decrease here. I would expect a 1 or 2 year deal somewhere around $25 million, which on a yearly basis isn't that much different from Alex Smith. And so Brees is going to stay in New Orleans. He's not going anywhere else. As you see, the team's likely interested, the New Orleans Saints. All right, so there's Drew at number 2. Number 1, Jimmy Garappolo. And so, John Lynch, he's in. Kyle Shanahan, he's buying in. Jimmy Garappolo, he wants the long-term security. He's buying in. It's only just essentially the matter of time for the 49ers to give this guy a long-term deal. Now, there is a situation where perhaps the 49ers give Jimmy Garappolo the franchise tag because perhaps that 5-year sample size, or not 5-year, 5-game sample size in 2017 wasn't enough for John Lynch and company for them to fully invest in Jimmy Garappolo. But at the end of the day, it's going to be cheaper for the 49ers to give Jimmy Garappolo a long-term deal rather than kicking the can down the road, right, and just franchise tagging him and, figuring it out later. Probably not the smart thing to do. 49ers and John Lynch, don't be the Washington Redskins, because if you continue to franchise a player, particularly a potential franchise quarterback, that is going to hurt your relationship with said quarterback. That's why Kirk Cousins is testing the free agent market, folks, because they kept franchise tagging him, and Kirk felt like he, didn't really want to be there. He didn't feel wanted. And we all want to feel wanted. So should the 49ers franchise tag Garappolo? Give us a heart for yes, a like for no. You want a long-term deal for Jimmy G. All right, so there you go. My 10 free agent quarterbacks. If you're just tuning in to the Cam Rogers Show, here we go. The summary. 10 through 6, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Josh McCown, Jay Cutler, the gunslinger himself, A.J. McCarron at number 7, Sam Bradford at number 6, and then 5 through 1 here. Teddy Bridgewater, Case Keenum, Kirk Cousins, Drew Brees, and Jimmy Garappolo. This is the Cam Rogers Show here on Chat Sports Facebook Live. How we doing, ladies and gentlemen? Cam Rogers coming at you. Check me out on Twitter at Mr. Rogers99. Episode 60 of the program. We thank you for coming along for the ride here, watching everybody's comments flow in. We do appreciate when you are a part of the show because it makes it all that much better. All right, so I just ranked 10 free agent quarterbacks for you. How about ranking the head coaching hires across the NFL this season? Let's get into number 7 here. Steve Wilks. And by the way, these are all fine hires, okay? We're all splitting hairs at the end of the day with these respective coaches. But Steve Wilks, 11 years of NFL coaching experience, 48 years old. 1 year as the Panthers' defensive coordinator and has a really good defensive mind. And, he's been surrounded by defenses all his coaching life, essentially. And I think he will have a lot of fun in Arizona. And why is that? Well, because he spent a lot of his time as a head coach, or not a head coach, but as a assistant coaching the defensive backs. And the Arizona Cardinals have a pretty darn good defensive backfield. So I think Steve Wilks will have his fair share of fun with the Honey Badger and Patrick Peterson, etc. So there you go. Steve Wilks at number 7. Let's take a look at number 6 here, Mike Vrabel. Now, he is kind of the youngster in this ranking. 1 year as the Texans' defensive coordinator. I think that youth is going to work well with Marcus Mariota and company. And, of course, the Tennessee Titans, they needed to move on from Mike Mularkey. I don't care if he took them to the playoffs and got them a playoff win over the perennial playoff loser Kansas City Chiefs. It was time to move on. And Mike Vrabel, I think, will be a fine head coach for the Tennessee Titans, but he's a little unproven. So there's kind of this sense of uncertainty with Vrabel. So we'll stay tuned on him. He's at number 6. Let's go to number 5, Matt Nagy. So he is the Bears head coach, took over as the Chiefs offensive coordinator in 2017. And when Nagy was calling plays, the Chiefs looked noticeably better. And, during their rut there in the midway point of the season, that's when they made the change to Nagy to call the plays, and he did a pretty darn good job. Andy Reid coaching tree as well has had a pretty darn good success rate here in the National Football League. So Nagy is there at number 5. Number 4 now, Matt Patricia. So not official yet because the Patriots still have a game to play on Sunday afternoon. It's going to be a fun one to watch in Detroit, though. The Lions need help on the front 7, and I think Patricia can help with that. You got Haloti Ngata and Ziggy Ansah, who are both going to be free agents, so some decisions to make there for the Lions. Gerard Davis and Paul Willerlow is, they're both not all that great at linebacker. So Patricia is going to have to address that front 7 there because the Lions struggled to stop the run and create pressure. They got good secondary, but Patricia has to, work on that front 7, and perhaps the Lions address that during the draft and free agency, etc. But Patricia, I think, will be a fine head coach. That's why I've got him at number 4. Number 3, Pat Shurmur. Well, he made Case Keenum look like Joe Montana in 2017. Could he perhaps do some wonders for the Giants? The Giants have a lot of work to do, guys. So, first of all, a lot of credit goes to Shurmur for what he did with Case Keenum this past season. And if Dalvin Cook stayed healthy, we'd probably be talking about the Vikings in the Super Bowl. So, with Shurmur now in the Big Apple, the Giants got to find pieces on that offensive line. Justin Pugh, DJ Fluker, Weston Richburg, they're all going to be free agents. Got to make some decisions there. The Giants don't have a wealth of cap space either, so some cuts could be impending. The Giants still have a talented defense, though. They didn't play up to expectations in 2017. I get that. And, oh, by the way, there's still that guy, Eli Manning. I think Shurmur and Eli will do a good job together. And, by the way, 9-23 as a head coach of the Browns. Look, it's the Browns. Doesn't really count. Pat Shurmur at number 3. Check it in at number 2. Mr. Josh McDaniels. There he is. So it's not official yet, of course, because Matt Patricia, same situation. McDaniels has to coach the Patriots on Sunday. 9 years as the Patriots offensive coordinator and has done a fantastic job at that, has really rebuilt his reputation after that debacle that was his head coaching tenure with the Denver Broncos. As you see his record there, 11-17. He's not going to wow you with any personnel decisions. In fact, he probably shouldn't have any personnel power. And I'm pretty sure GM Chris Ballard will not allow that. It'd be very interesting to see if the Colts snag a Saquon Barkley in the first round. Because with Frank Gore now as a free agent, and I know Marlon Mack is there too, I think McDaniels would do a really good job with Saquon and Andrew Luck. So stay tuned for that. I think McDaniels would do a pretty darn good job. That's why he's at number 2 in my rankings. Rio says, John Gruden at number 2. Sorry, we've got Chucky at number 1. Last coached the Bucs in 2008. It's been a bit of a long haul for him since his coaching time. But look, Chris Collinsworth said the other day that because John Gruden was an analyst, for so many years on Monday Night Football, it provides Gruden with this special advantage, a unique advantage that some coaches out there simply don't have. So we have John Gruden there as a name to kind of monitor in the NFL coaching world, and we got him at number 1 in our rankings. And he's got a great staff. Tom Cable as the offensive line coach, Paul Gunther as DC, Greg Olson as OC. So talking about bringing a big brand name to Oakland. John Gruden, the head coach of the Raiders. This is the Cam Rogers Show here on Chat Sports Facebook Live. How are we doing, ladies and gentlemen, on this Friday, getting you ready for Super Bowl 52. I'm picking the game later in the show. Don't you worry. I just want to breeze through some rumors here to get through. So you have the Goodell heads at the bottom of your screen. That's the scale of believability that we use. So 3 Goodell heads, more probable than not that this will happen. Will the Cardinals cut Adrian Peterson? We think it will happen. Peterson's salary cap hit is for $3.5 million. The Cardinals are in the 5th worst cap position in terms of cap space. They're picking 15th overall in the draft. They're probably not going to get a Baker Mayfield or a Josh Rosen or anybody like that. So they're in this weird no man's land situation. They got to free up space to go out and grab a quarterback in free agency. They could also cut Mike Iupati and Jared Valdir, by the way. So we're following that rumor there. That was first reported by the Arizona Sports 98.7 station. All right, next up, I talked about this earlier. We're giving this 4 Goodell heads. It is 100% news. Von Miller calling for Kirk Cousins. Yes, he is. He appeared on the Dan Patrick Show recently saying that apparently Kirk knows exactly how I feel. And then Miller went on to say, Kirk could take us over the edge. And I believe that. I think Kirk Cousins could be kind of the movement of that needle towards a Super Bowl kind of path. Not saying they're going to win the Super Bowl with Kirk Cousins because they have to address that offensive line, but they're heading in the right direction if they do get him. Next rumor, it's news. 4 Goodell heads. Fox is taking over Thursday Night Football. The league announced it a couple of days ago, 5-year agreement to broadcast 11 games a season on Thursdays, a $3.3 billion deal, first reported by Sports Business Daily. So there you go, Thursday Night Football on Fox. By the way, no Joe Buck and Troy Aikman for those games. Next rumor, John DeFilippo. So he's the quarterback's coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. Could he be the next Vikings offensive coordinator? Because of course, Pat Shurmur moved on to the Giants to be the head coach there. You're giving this 2 Goodell heads, all right? So people are talking on this one. So why does it make sense? Well, John DeFilippo did a great job with Carson Wentz and is doing a pretty darn good job with Nick Foles, by the way. And, oh yeah, they're going to be in Minneapolis anyway. So DeFilippo may just stay on Monday morning and conduct a couple interviews and see how it all goes. And heck, could be hired by the midway point of next week. So DeFilippo is a rumor we are following there to be the potential next offensive coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings. All right, next rumor here. Are the 49ers trading Jimmy Garappolo so they can get Kirk Cousins? We are calling this absolute fake news. So an article in the Press Democrat had the following logic. The 49ers should franchise tag Jimmy Garappolo when the new league year begins on March 14th. At that point, the 49ers should trade Jimmy Garappolo. By the way, I am just reporting this. This is the messenger right now. I am not arguing to do this. Trade Jimmy Garappolo, acquire a plethora of picks, a couple of first-rounders, a second-rounder, a third-rounder, and then go out and sign Kirk Cousins with the amount of cap space that you have. That is a report in the Press Democrat. Not a report, really an opinion piece at the end of the day. And we are calling this absolute fake news. This is not going to happen. John Lynch is buying in to the Jimmy G train. He will give Garoppolo a long-term deal. Just ignore this. Speaking of fake news, Tom Brady, will he retire after the Super Bowl? Well, there is a prop bet out there for all you folks who like to gamble to throw some money down on if Tom Brady were to retire after the Super Bowl. By the way, it has to be during the NBC broadcast. And Brady quickly shot this down. He addressed the media members the other day and said, look, I am not retiring. It's not going to happen. And it was actually funny. He went on to say, Why does everyone want me to retire so bad? I don't get it. I'm having fun. Well, Tom, there are 31 teams out there that probably want you to retire. I'm just saying. So he went on to say the team's doing good. I know I'm a little bit older than most of the other guys, but I'm really enjoying it. I obviously enjoy the experience of playing in this game. This has been obviously a dream come true many times over. And Tom Brady, in his 40s, still getting it done. We are calling it fake news that he will retire after the Super Bowl, because this guy, he's got a lot of hunger in him, and if he even wins the Super Bowl on Sunday, I don't think it's going to matter much, because he's going to want to win Super Bowl number 7. Okay, there you go, ladies and gentlemen, a little look at the latest rumors across the NFL. This is the Cam Rogers Show presented by the Game Time app. Head on to chatsports.com/tickets to check them out. Get up to 60% off all those last-minute sports tickets, concert tickets, and so much more. Many thanks to the Game Time app for sponsoring the Cam Rogers Show here today. All right, folks, so I said at the top of the show that I will reveal my pick for Super Bowl 52 at the end of the program. Here we go. Super Bowl 52, Eagles, Patriots. I am giving you the answer key to the SAT. I am opening up my crystal ball and telling you who will win on Sunday evening. The Philadelphia Eagles, your Super Bowl 52 champions. 24-20. Fletcher Cox, Timmy Jernigan, Brandon Graham. They are going to feast on that New England offensive line. Patrick Robinson will shut down Danny Amendola. There will be effective bracket coverage with Malcolm Jenkins and the linebackers there on Rob Gronkowski. And Brady's going to be uncomfortable in this football game. I just sense it. It's going to be a semblance of the 2007 Giants, where it's just Eli Manning wasn't all that great in 2007, and Nick Foles isn't all that great, but he's going to find a way to get it done. I think Jay Ajayi will run the football effectively. That Eagles offensive line is fantastic in pass protection, especially on that right side. So I've got the Philadelphia Eagles stunning the Patriots, and this will be the first Super Bowl loss for Tom Brady against a team not named the New York Giants. 24-20 is your final score. So who do you think will win, ladies and gentlemen? Throw in your thoughts. Give us a heart for the Patriots, a like for the Eagles. I watched a lot of tape, crunched the numbers and all that, and I've got Philadelphia winning on Sunday evening. And, you know, for a lot of people out there, they probably just want a tie, and I kind of understand that. A lot of people like to hate the Philadelphia Eagles, most notably Redskins fans, Cowboys fans, Giants fans, and especially for Giants fans, must be a really weird situation, because you got to either root for the Patriots or the Eagles, right? Or just root for nobody, I guess. I don't know. But it's going to be a fun one, a defensive grind. I don't expect a lot of points. I would take the under if you're betting out there. 24-20, Philadelphia, your final score. This has been episode 60 of the Cam Rogers Show here on this Friday morning. What are your Super Bowl 52 plans? Gonna hang out with the fam? You know, hit up the bar? Are you going to the game? Hit me up on Twitter. Let me know what you're doing. I appreciate it. By the way, download the podcast version of the Cam Rogers Show. Head on to chatsports.com/Cam Show to get me wherever you go. And if you missed any of the program, don't you worry, because we are looping the show. So keep it right here on this video. You'll hear my top 10 free agent quarterbacks, complete analysis for Super Bowl 52, and my head coaching rankings, NFL rumors as well. So you'll get all of it if you keep it right here on the Cam Rogers Show on this video. Like the page as well, Chat Sports. You'll get notified when we go live. I am saying goodbye here from Dallas, Texas. One last time, enjoy your NFL Sunday. Peace out.